Hey guys, I didn't believe this story when I first heard it either. But the more I listened, the more the pieces sank into place. And what I felt wasn't just fear. It was a kind of slow, creeping dread that stuck to the back of my neck, even after the lights were on. So, good luck getting any sleep after this one. Before we begin, make sure you're subscribed for more chilling stories, and hey, if you survive until the end, leave a comment so I know you're still out there. Now, let me tell you about my friend Marcus, and how he lived with a roommate who, according to every camera, never existed. Marcus had just moved into a new apartment near downtown Chicago. He'd been desperate to get out of his last place, too cramped, too noisy, too many memories of a breakup he didn't want to remember. He found the listing online. 2 bedrooms, cheap rent, split with a guy named Darren. No red flags. Darren sounded chill in texts. Worked nights, kept to himself. The place was clean, simple, hardwood floors that creaked in the right places. A hallway with one light that flickered sometimes, but nothing he couldn't live with. Marcus moved in on a Monday. Darren wasn't there when he arrived. His room was locked, but Marcus's key worked fine for everything else. When they finally met that evening, Darren just appeared. No knock. Marcus had been making tea when the guy emerged from the hallway. A tall figure in dark clothes, silent for a beat too long before saying, "Hey, I'm Darren." Something about his voice had an echo to it, like the kind of voice you hear in dreams. But Marcus was tired, maybe projecting. They exchanged a few awkward pleasantries. Darren went back to his room and closed the door. At night, Marcus couldn't sleep. Every so often, he'd hear footsteps. Not loud, but deliberate. One footstep, pause, another, then silence. He thought maybe Darren was pacing. But in the morning, there were 2 mugs on the counter. Marcus only remembered using one. And the kettle had been turned on again after midnight. Still, nothing too strange. The next few weeks passed quietly. Darren kept his door closed most of the time. They crossed paths occasionally in the hallway or kitchen. He didn't eat much, didn't say much, but Marcus felt watched. Not in a paranoid way. More like something always lingered just a step behind his peripheral vision. Then came the first real anomaly. It was around 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. Marcus had stayed up gaming with headphones on. When he took them off, the apartment was silent, but a strange silence. Thick, like the air itself was holding its breath. He walked out of the kitchen to get water and noticed something odd. Darren's door, which was usually closed, was open just a crack, enough to see a sliver of room, and what looked like a shadow standing perfectly still in the corner. No movement, just there, Marcus whispered. Darren. The shadow didn't move, but the door slowly creaked shut on its own. The next morning, Marcus casually asked Darren if he'd been up last night. Darren just blinked, then muttered, "I don't sleep much." From then on, Marcus began noticing more subtle things. Doors slightly ajar when he knew he'd closed them. A toothbrush that wasn't his, appearing and then disappearing from the bathroom. Once, he found 2 plates in the sink, but he'd eaten out that night. He chalked it up to forgetfulness, stress. But the more he tried to dismiss it, the more persistent the feeling became. There were nights he'd be lying in bed and hear whispering from the hallway. Low, unintelligible murmurs. Like someone talking through a closed door, except Darren's door would be open. And his room, empty. One night, after a particularly unsettling whispering session, Marcus stood in the hallway and shouted, "Darren, are you messing with me?" No answer. He knocked on Darren's door. No answer. He opened it and found the room completely empty. Bed made, no clothes, no scent of someone living there. Just cold. And then he saw the photo. It was a Polaroid, tucked under the lamp on the desk. A blurry image of 2 people. One was Marcus, smiling faintly. The other, hard to see. The figure beside him was mostly smudged. like the film hadn't processed correctly. Only a vague shape, but something in his posture seemed familiar. When Marcus brought it up the next day, Darren just laughed, a short, breathy sound. "You dream too much, man," he said. Marcus stopped asking questions, but his dreams got worse. He began waking up at exactly 3:17 a.m. every night. At first, he thought it was coincidence, but it kept happening. And each time, he woke with the sensation that someone had just whispered into his ear, except no words. Just the hot, wet breath of something not quite human. Then came the scratching, faint, rhythmic, always behind his bedroom wall, like nails tracing circles from the other side. He asked the landlord to check for rats. They found nothing. That was when Marcus decided to buy a camera. Just a simple security camera, set up in the living room. He didn't tell Darren. Just wanted to see what happened at night. Maybe catch anything to prove he wasn't losing his mind. That night, as always, he woke at 3:17. But this time, the door to his room was open, and from the hallway, he saw it. Just a glimpse long limbs, bent wrong, stepping out of sight. He didn't move, didn't breathe. The next morning, he rushed to check the footage, and that's when everything started to fall apart. There was no Darren. There was never a second person. The camera showed Marcus walking around, talking to himself in the kitchen, laughing at empty air, pausing as if listening to someone who wasn't there, sitting across from no one at dinner. 3 months of footage. One person. Only him. And yet, every night, he could still hear footsteps, still feel the breath behind his ear, still see that door open on its own. And in the very last frame, just before the camera cut to black, there was a face pressed against the corner of the screen. Not Marcus, not anyone human. Marcus didn't leave the apartment that day. He couldn't. His legs felt like they were filled with sand. The footage had broken something in him. Some foundational part of his sense of reality. 3 months, 90 days, thousands of minutes, and not once had the camera picked up Darren. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was how normal it had all seemed at the time. How Darren had shared beers with him during a Bears game. How they'd argued over who left the fridge open. How Marcus had heard Darren's voice clear as day talking to him in the hallway about the water pressure in the shower. All those memories, vivid, tangible, real, weren't they? He called his sister that afternoon, told her something vague about maybe having a breakdown or hallucinations. She offered to visit. He said no. Said he just needed sleep. He didn't sleep. That night, at exactly 3:17 a.m., he awoke to the sound of breathing. Not his slow, deep, right next to his ear. The air in the room was freezing. Not cold, frozen. His breath misted in the darkness. He sat up, turned on the light. No one there. Except on the floor, near the door, lay another Polaroid. It hadn't been there before. Same format, same kind of film. This one was sharper. Marcus was in it again, lying in bed, eyes closed, and behind him, in the shadows, a long figure hunched over, as if leaning down to whisper something. The next morning, he called in sick, packed a bag. He decided to leave. Screw the lease, screw Darren or whatever that thing was. He couldn't stay there another night. As he stuffed clothes into a duffel, he knocked over a pile of unopened mail by the front door. Among the mess, he found something odd. A letter. No postage. Just his name on the front in faint, handwritten scrawl. Inside, a single sentence. If I'm not real, why do you still hear me? The handwriting was his. Marcus left the apartment within the hour. Stayed with a friend across town. Someone from work. Said he needed a change of pace. He tried not to talk about what happened. Told people Darren had moved out unexpectedly. That the place gave him weird vibes. That was the end of it. Except it wasn't. Because a week later, his friend found something under their couch. A Polaroid. Marcus lying on the guest bed, eyes open this time. And just behind him, that shape. Elongated limbs, head tilted too far to one side. Still no face. That night. Marcus checked the guest room for the 10th time. Nothing. No cold. No scratches. No whispering. But at exactly 3:17 a.m., the bathroom light flicked on by itself, and the sound of a door creaking. Then that whisper again close, right beside his cheek. Why did you leave me? The thing is, I've known Marcus for years. I saw the old apartment. I helped him move in. I never met Darren. And now that I think about it, there was never any second toothbrush. Never 2 jackets on the hook. Never a second plate on the table. Marcus saw him, talked to him, laughed with him, but no one else ever did. And now, I think it's following him. Because last night, when I went to check the hallway camera at my place, just a random habit, I saw Marcus standing in my kitchen, staring at the wall, alone. And behind him, just barely visible in the dark, was a tall, crooked shadow. Watching. Still there. Still waiting. Marcus stopped answering his phone after that week. At first, I thought maybe he just needed space. He was always the type to shut down when things got heavy. But something gnawed at me. Something colder than concern. It was the kind of unease you feel when you lock your door at night and still don't feel safe. So I went to check on him. His friend said Marcus had left 2 days earlier. No warning. No goodbye. Just gone. Took only a backpack. I wasn't surprised, not really. By then, I had already begun having the dreams. They always started the same. I'd be standing in the hallway of Marcus's old apartment. The lights buzzing above me, flickering. And at the far end, the door. Darren's door. Closed. Then a slow knock. 3 times. From inside, when I'd wake, it would be 3:17 a.m. Every time, one night. I couldn't help myself. I went back. The building was already half condemned by then. Leaks in the walls, roaches. Something about illegal wiring. I slipped in through the back, walked that familiar hallway. The floor still creaked in the same places. The buzz of the old light was still there. The apartment was unlocked. Inside, it smelled like dust and mildew. Furniture was gone. But the walls still had faint marks where picture frames once hung, where the couch had been pressed. I stepped into Marcus's old room. The air was cold, so cold it felt wrong, like the kind of chill that doesn't come from a lack of heat, but from something ancient. Dead? I turned to leave, and there it was, on the floor. Another Polaroid. This time it was me, standing in that very hallway. Back turned to the camera, and behind me, the figure again. Clearer now, thin arms, head tilted like it was listening. I felt something shift in the room, like the shadows had begun to crawl. I didn't wait to find out. I ran. But the nightmare didn't end when I left, because I think I brought something with me. My apartment is clean, bright, secure. Nothing like Marcus's old place. And yet, every night, 3:17 a.m., my door creaks open. The air goes still, and I swear I hear footsteps behind me. There's a theory I can't stop thinking about, that the mind, when isolated long enough, begins to invent companionship, that it forms people out of loneliness, clings to ghosts just to feel less alone. But what if it's the other way around? What if those ghosts cling to us? What if loneliness isn't the absence of others, but the presence of something we can't see? Something that steps into the cracks of our minds, takes shape, and waits quietly until we believe it's real. That's the thing about Darren. I don't think he was ever a man. I think he was a memory that grew teeth. And now, when I close my eyes, I see them. All the places he might be. Behind the curtain, in the reflection, on the other side of the door I haven't opened yet. Waiting for me to say his name again. But I won't. Not ever again. Because the moment you remember him, he remembers you too. It's been months since Marcus vanished. No texts, no calls. His social media froze in time, last post a blurry sunrise captioned, "Finally breathing again."
No one's heard from him since. I tried reporting him missing.
The police were polite, but not helpful. Said there were no signs of foul play.
That adults sometimes disappear on purpose,
especially ones with mental health histories. One officer added, too casually.
I didn't tell them about the photos.
Didn't mention Darren.
Because what would I say that my friend had a roommate no one else could see? That this imaginary man left behind physical evidence that I, too, now find Polaroid shoved under my door, hidden between book pages, even taped to my bathroom mirror. That in each one. I'm never alone.
They'd lock me up. Or worse, they believe me. And what if belief makes it stronger?
I tried burning the photos. The first time, I watched the edges curl, blacken, disintegrate into ash. I felt relief. Until the same photo reappeared on my pillow the next night. Not singed, not even creased, untouched. Like I'd never destroyed it at all. It's always the same photo now. Me, asleep, or pretending to be. Because by the time I see the flash, it's too late to react. And he's always there. In the corner, sometimes closer, sometimes leaning in. The face, still just shadow, like smoke behind a veil. The last one was different. I wasn't in it. Instead, it showed Marcus standing in what looked like a forest at night. Shoulders slumped, mouth slightly open, eyes hollow, and beside him, a figure, no longer hunched or blurry, standing tall, grinning. The photo came with a note, same handwriting as before mine. Only not quite. It read, "He let me in."
That's when I stopped sleeping.
That's when the breathing started, each night. Closer, deeper, as if something was learning how to mimic me.
Last week, I caught myself speaking aloud in a voice I didn't recognize.
The words I miss living together.
Yesterday, I checked my building's security camera feed again. At 3:17 a.m., someone walked down the hallway toward my unit. A man tall, thin, slightly off in how he moved.
His head tilted, dragging something in one hand. The footage glitched when he reached my door. No face, no eyes, just static. And then frame by frame, I watched the door open. From the inside, I haven't left my apartment since... The lights flicker every night.
The air turns sharp and metallic.
I hear the soft creak of floorboards shifting.
The occasional quiet knock. 3 times, always from inside the closet.
I don't check anymore. I just wait for the next photo, because I know it's coming. And I know, one night it'll be the last.
But if you're still here, still listening, there's something I want to leave you with. A warning. It starts with loneliness.
An empty apartment, a spare toothbrush, a voice that answers when no one should, and then it grows. Until your memories betray you. Until you don't know if you're the one who's haunting yourself. So if you're living alone right now, check your photos, count your forks, and whatever you do, don't say his name out loud, not even once. Because if you remember him,
he remembers you too.
If you're still alive after this, leave a sign, a comment, a scratch on the wall. Anything to prove you were here. But if you hear footsteps at 3:17 a.m. tonight, run.
Or don't. He prefers the ones who stay.